Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am Ti Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always by the adventurous Rohan Katti. Rohan, happy Monday, my dude. How is it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I had a solid weekend.
Yeah.
It's the weather's finally taking a good turn here, at least in Wisconsin. It's nice weather. Sure, we'd like some rain, but
Yeah,
it is
seriously.
what it is. Well, May was one of the driest months on record, I think. So
Yeah.
let's
get wet.
Let's get some rain. Let's get wet, like Ti says. I'm going to attribute that quote to you.
That's fair.
Sure.
You said it too, though. People will be more excited about you saying it, but regardless.
But I'm doing well. Happy to be here as always. We do have some news, some Bucks news to talk about, Ti, don't we?
We do. We've got a whole pod coming, going through all the Bucks impending self-free agents and sharing our decisions and our thought process on if Milwaukee should keep them or let them walk, as it says in the title.
Should
Obviously,
I stay or should I go?
Wow. How are you aware of that song? A commercial?
Don't know.
Probably a commercial or a movie or something. A newer movie. Wow, I'm literally taken aback by that. We might have to just stop the pod here. Obviously, with reasonable cost and stuff, and we'll go over what the Bucks can pay them, what they should pay them. Set a dollar amount for these guys as well. But before then, we do have two pieces of news. Let's start with the one that I think is most relevant right now. After it was reported the Bucks were looking at James Borrego or Terry Stotts to be Adrian Griffin's kind of lead assistant or lead offensive assistant, which is something that I think in our pod and the pod Jordan and I did right at the emergency pod, right after we found out he was hired. The big, I guess, caveat to this was, okay, we don't know that much about him, but he's mostly a defensive-minded guy, was a defensive-minded player. The Bucks need offensive help. Bringing in the right lead assistant on that end could make a huge difference and really, really make this go from a huge question mark to, okay, this is actually set up to work out, pretty well, or very well even, all things considered. The Bucks found that guy. So James Borrego was hired. I actually don't remember where. Suns?
Was it? Or was it Brooklyn?
No,
it wasn't Brooklyn. That was Kevin Ollie.
Yeah, Kevin Ollie went to Brooklyn. There's been a lot of assistants moving this year. Sam Cassell just went to Boston.
New Orleans. He went to New Orleans.
So Borrego, who the Bucks have interviewed now twice to be their head coach, certainly a strong offensive mind. And we can debate which of these guys we'd rather have. But the other name with Terry Stotts did end up joining the Bucks, or I don't know what's official and what's not at this point. Technically, the Bucks still haven't announced the hire. Adrian Griffin's on their team website. I should actually check and see if they've now added Stotts as well. Because it was.
Can we talk about for a second?
Yeah.
That it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, I wonder. So the Athletic report on Friday, Eric Name and I think Shams Charania reported the salary number that had been determined. So I wonder if it's coming this week now that we're back into work week, but the actual contract amount wasn't finalized until basically the weekend. It was Friday night when that report came out. So if it doesn't happen this week, then I just really have no idea. But I think that it would be annoying, but it would make sense if it was they didn't actually have the contract terms agreed to yet until early this week or something. It's just weird how long it took, but
it is weird. And it's also weird, usually teams announce it right away. We know the Bucks are prone to their weekend news dumps anyway, so
that's true.
Might as well. I mean, it serves no purpose in the sense does it really matter? Because
yeah, I mean,
everyone knows that he's the head coach already.
They took Adrian Griffin off.
Oh, they did. You exposed them, Ti. You exposed them.
Sorry, okay. Adam had to do a little extra work on my behalf.
No, that's the type of stuff we appreciate here, Ti.
Yeah.
Sorry, Edmund, but also, it's for the greater good.
Yeah, it is. I don't think it's that much coding work to just take one person off. Now they have no head coach. They just have a bunch of assistant coaches. I don't think it matters. I mean, there's people, are they going after someone else? Are they not? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we haven't heard anything about that. And in fact, we're hearing the contrary, right? The contract, it's like what, four-ish million per season, I think, like $4.5 million. The lead assistant has now been found. Like, things are progressing. They're just not doing it publicly yet for whatever.
Aren't they're still paying Bud twice that, I think?
Yeah, probably.
I think Bud's like $8 million for the next 2 years, I believe.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
So, yeah, good for Bud.
Good for Monty Williams.
Monty Williams.
Monty,
do you think Monty just reset the market and Adrian Griffin's agent's like, hey, hold on here?
No, I think that's why that dollar amount got out last week, was like the Bucks are like, hey, listen, you're still getting like $5 million max, just so you know. First time head coach, like I
think it's funny that now we're getting like head coaching contract amounts now, because like we never did before. No. But then Monty Williams was like, hey, I'm going to make like $100 million over 8 years, it's potentially.
Nutty. Yeah, potentially.
Ridiculous.
No shot he gets all of that, but he's getting enough. That is.
I mean, he might. Who knows?
Rohan.
Yeah, there's no shot.
8 years.
There's no shot.
In the mid of a rebuild, no, it does not. I mean, look at Bud. Bud won a title 2 years ago and lasted 5. Like, unless you're Miami or San Antonio, it just really does not work like that.
Or Denver, I guess.
True, or Denver. But anyway, Terry Stotts. So, I think Borrego, and I haven't really dug into Stotts as much yet. I mean, I certainly will. But I think I do like that he's been around the NBA for longer. He's just older than Borrego, right? He's 65. He coached the Blazers for 9 years.
Looks good for 65.
He does. The Damian Lillard connection, I'm going to choose to find interesting. Maybe Dame hates the guy. Like, I honestly have no idea.
Dame does not hate the guy. There were reports after Terry Stotts was coaching with Team USA. I believe it was after he had been fired by the Blazers, and then he was still with Dame with Team USA. He said, I wish it would last forever, or something like that. Wow.
That's nice. He has never been Coach of the Year. He has several Coach of the Month awards. He actually is a former Bucks head coach, 2005 to 2007, coached the Hawks from 2002 to 2004. Those stops were not very good, 2 years apiece. His Portland stop, never obviously got over the hump there. Was a very successful stint. He went 402 and 318 in Portland that's a 55 winning percentage. For his career, he is above 500 as a head coach. And I think this is the kind of person you would want, right? Like, someone who's been around the NBA, is not an outsized personality though. It's not like they're bringing in, everyone talked about Mike D'Antoni. I don't think Mike D'Antoni's getting off of the retirement couch to be an assistant at this point in his life.
He's a special advisor, Ti. Come on.
Yeah, that's whatever. But it's like, I don't mind just getting someone like Stotts. Feels like someone who just like knows the game and knows coaching really well and is going to be able to slide in here and just be very helpful. Maybe go get another job in 2 to 3 years. Maybe not. Who really knows what he wants to do or what will open up for him. But I like this hire. I think it's not like, I'm not overwhelmed by it, but I just think it's good. I think he's coached a lot of good offenses in Portland, and I think he'll bring a lot to the table in terms of making sure the Bucks are set up offensively going forward.
Yeah, he's a guy who's used to coaching on teams that are offensive heavy and need to survive on offense. So of course you want to bring in a guy like that when your team for a lead assistant job, or we're assuming it's a lead assistant job, for a team that, has a defensive-minded head coach like you had mentioned, or has made his money in the NBA being a defensive-minded coach in Adrian Griffin, and bring a coach like Terry Stotts to a team that has had its struggles on offense and needs to improve that side of the ball. Yeah, you want to go get a guy who had to rely on his offensive skills, because in Portland, it's not like he had a run-of-the-mill defenders time. That Portland team had to win based on its offensive versatility, especially centered around I don't want to call Dame a heliocentric guy, because he's really not. He can work really well off ball and do a lot of other stuff. He's not like he's a different player than James Harden.
Make sure you don't offend Dame. We don't want to be the podcast that kept Dame away.
No. We love you, Dame. We love you, Dame. Come on the pod after you join the Bucks or before and say you want to join the Bucks.
That one especially would work for me.
That one would really work for me. Let's make it happen, Dame. Our people will talk to your people. But But yeah, Terry Stotts, like when you look at that Blazers team, and like they were just using offensive heavy weapons like Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, now it's Anthony Simons. Like this is a team, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic, like this is a team that did not have great defenders to choose from. So they made their money. They won their games based on their ability to outscore other teams. The Bucks could use some of that juice, and Terry Stotts was the architect of that offense. And I do like this hire. He's a guy. He's also a guy who's been a head coach, like you had mentioned, for a long time in this league. He knows his way around the block, I guess, and he can give advice to a guy like Adrian Griffin, who's a first time head coach. Like you need another guy with experience in the room. Terry Stotts, I think, is a perfect fit. Welcome back to Milwaukee, Terry Stotts.
Yeah. It isn't specified in either Woj or Name/Shams reporting if he will be the lead assistant. I wonder
if they're waiting on Charles Lee.
Yeah. So in this Athletic piece, Name does mention that some assistant coaches have given their farewells, like on social or whatever. Some are still there working. I mean, there's draft workouts, there's individual workouts, and those contracts. It's not like, when Bud was let go, it wasn't like all of those assistants were like tied to that and also let go. They all have their own contracts. So I'm sure it's a little bit of limbo for them right now and they're figuring those things out. But it does sound like there's a chance that whether it's Charles Lee or some other people deeper down the bench, there could be some coaches that are going to be on Adrian Griffin's staff that were on Bud's last season. Of course, we've talked about, Griffin and Nurse kind of probably competing maybe for some of those Raptors coaches. Like he's going to have to get a little creative with to fill out his bench here. So we'll see who all ends up joining the staff. We do know Terry Stotts.
I'm sure the Bucks also wouldn't mind some level of continuity as well. Because like we mentioned, this is a very, very, very unique head coaching search that the Milwaukee Bucks have undergone. So it's like you already have a team who is ready to win a title now, has won a title together. You want to at least keep some continuity going forward. So it's like, I'm not like I could just be talking here, but you want some guys on the staff who know, like, hey, this is what these guys are used to. This is what these guys are like. This is how to push them this way. This is how you get them going this way. And while the new voice is going to help, and it should help, and Adrian Griffin is surely going to do a great job here, you want to have some level of. I'm sure the Bucks wouldn't mind some level of continuity, like we just saw it with the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Young was up for multiple head coaching jobs and didn't get them. And usually when that happens is that assistant goes and leaves to go be a associate head coach, lead assistant somewhere else for another team, and just keeps building their resume for the next head coaching vacancies. But Kevin Young stayed with the Phoenix Suns because they made him the highest paid assistant in the NBA.
Yeah.
So maybe we see something like that with Charles Lee, who the only coaching vacancy is going to be the Toronto Raptors. So we'll see what happens there. And Toronto's still interviewing people, I think, this weekend.
Yeah.
So maybe we get a decision this week for that. But it'd be interesting to see if they keep Charles Lee around.
Yeah, it will.
It wouldn't be a bad thing. Charles Lee,
great.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
I do wonder a little, and in this Athletic article, it also does say that they were still negotiating things with Griffin's contract, and he will sign soon. So again, I don't think it's weird, and we can call it out for being weird. I don't think it's concerning.
No.
I do wonder if the relatively low per year coaching salary has anything to do with the Bucks going out and maybe reallocating some of that coaching budget to assistants. Obviously, they can spend whatever they want, but we know there's always a max dollar amount. And maybe I think it would be a little savvy if they said, and Griffin was in on, okay, I'll get closer to $4 million, but we retain Charles Lee, we bring in Terry Stotts, like we're in a position to succeed. And then, after you succeed for a bit as an NBA coach, then you can go get the Monty Williams bag and whatever else. So,
they're still paying Bud, like I mentioned.
Yeah, that too. So we don't have to just say he oversaw good offensive teams in Portland, by the way. This is an interesting nugget I just saw. He was an assistant for Dallas, hired in 2008, stayed until 2012, and he was credited for coordinating the Mavs offense when they won the title in 2010-11 one of the most efficient in the league. So that was right before Portland stopped. So he kind of bounced around a little bit, came into the NBA with George Karl and the Supersonics, actually, and that's how he got to Milwaukee as an assistant. And then he got the Bucks job, or he got the Hawks job, excuse me. He was actually promoted to that from an assistant when the head coach there got fired. Interesting career for Terry Stotts, but certainly a guy who's been involved with some great offenses and had a lot to do with them. So I think an exciting hire. It's not someone that maybe will, lead all news outlets or be really thrilling to people, but this is a very nice hire and exactly what the Bucks need to do to set up Adrian Griffin for success. So it's nice to see that. I think Charles Lee coming back as well for the continuity, but also, it's just, a great coach, a really well-regarded coach. So having more of those on staff would never be a bad thing.
No, for sure. And it's always important. Also, like the Bucks organization, does a good job of keeping guys and propping guys up for new jobs, and Charles Lee, keeping him on, making sure he's an associate head coach or retains his position as that. If he does not get a head coaching job, it's just showing goodwill for your guys around the league.
Absolutely. Our other news item here. Bobby Portis is going to play for Team USA in the FIBA World Cup. Announced it alongside a couple other players. Austin Reeves, one of them, which
Anthony Edwards.
The summer of Austin Reeves continues.
Mikal Bridges, Tyrese Halliburton.
It's a good roster. So the fascinating thing here, for Team USA, it's pretty good.
Is it?
So far, it's not all out yet. I wonder if they'll get Drew. That would be a big one.
Or Khris.
I don't know if Khris wants to go back. We'll see. Yeah, Jalen Brunson as well.
Oh, Jalen Brunson.
That's like 3 all-star players. Mikal played like an all-star the second half of the year. It's good. Here's what I'll say. It's good, actually. Before we even get to the Bobby part, it's good because these are all young players. And what I've said for years is what they need to do is get a crew that you bring to everything. What they need to do is go to these guys and say, listen, if you come to the FIBA World Cup this year, you go to the Olympics in 2 years, you go to the next FIBA World Cup, etc. They need to learn how to play together in this format as a team versus just okay, what 12 guys can we get this year? What 12 guys can we get next year? Who's going to show up? Because the LeBrons and Stephs don't go anymore. And now the league talent is too diverse for the American team to thrive by just picking whatever 12 guys want to show up. They need more continuity. So I'm hoping that this roster that is being put together by Grant Hill, who I think is going to be good at this. He's the managing director now. Steve Kerr and Sean Ford. But I think this may be what they're doing, which I think would be really good. I think that's what they should be doing. But yeah, it's not overwhelming. Also, though, how many other American All-Stars are there at this point?
Yeah, that's fair. I was trying to go through a list in my head.
If you assume the old guys won't go.
Maybe KD does it again. He did it. He did the last Olympics.
That would be fun.
Booker?
They don't regard the FIBA World Cup as well. Booker would be a big get for them. Booker was great in the Olympics.
Dame, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, LeBron's not going to do it. Steph's not going to do it.
Yeah, certainly
Shay's Canadian.
Yeah. KD, Dame, and Booker.
Tatum?
Yeah, Tatum they should get. Tatum
Brown?
is a big one.
Maybe they'll
I don't
learn
know
how
if
to
they
dribble.
need Jalen. After the playoffs, I don't know if they need Jalen.
Maybe he wants to go. He wants to get some reps in.
Yeah.
He needs it.
Maybe he wants to play for a coach he respects. Did you hear he broke a huddle by saying 1, 2, 3 defense? Joe Mazzulla's the big offensive guy, and Jaylen Brown said 1, 2, 3 defense. The Celtics had to bring in Sam Cassell so somebody would respect them. Anyway.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
He probably watched The Town one too many times. He's like, I'm done. I'm done watching The Town, Joe. Joe, put on a different movie, Joe. Come on. We're sick of The Town.
It's just an insane thing.
Film sessions are just clips of The Town on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you guys remember this scene? We know, Joe. We've seen it.
But Bobby Portis is so far the only big guy announced on the team. And my interest here is really seeing, does he play center? How does he play there?
That's what I was going to say. In the international game, he would almost have to be a power forward. Realistically, because of the no zone defense rules, you need a massive guy to anchor the paint. So he would have to really be a power forward? Because he's too small to play center for
I don't know if
international.
he is.
I think he is.
I mean, it depends on the team. So Team USA loves to go small. I mean, they're playing Harrison Barnes at the 5.
Oh, yeah.
Pop was the head coach. I think maybe he's not the primary. He may be a center there.
De'Aaron Fox, by the way?
De'Aaron Fox? Oh, yeah. He'd be good. Yeah. Only so many guards, though. I think they're looking for passers. What was I saying? But the other thing with Team USA and the player pool is there's not a ton of big guys. I don't think Ayton plays for USA.
No,
I think
he doesn't.
Bahamian team.
Yeah.
And also is not that good. But so that it's like Miles Turner.
Anthony Towns, I think, plays for the Dominican team.
I believe that's correct. I think he can switch. I never remember how switching works or if he wants to. I don't know. Miles Turner has been their primary center. Certainly bigger than Bobby. He's
Brook.
If he comes. Brook went last year. They didn't really play him. I don't know if Brook wants to do this again. Maybe. I don't know if they're looking for older guys. I mean, we've only gotten young guys announced so far.
They need some vets.
I think they need some. I think KD and Tatum would be great. I mean, Tatum's young, but he's played in 19 finals. And Book, for sure.
He's played in one finals time. Come on.
Conference finals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, don't
no, I know. Tatum's career is insane, though.
It is.
We don't dislike Tatum. We hate the Celtics. We don't.
Yes.
It's hard to dislike Tatum. He just goes out there and hoops and goes home to his kid and eats tacos. Like, it's pretty much it's the life we all want.
It's like it's American Giannis, but it's like sort of toned down.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
The big man situation in Bobby. That's why I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna I think for him long term, the biggest thing, and we'll get to him in a second here. If actually we won't. He's not an impending free agent, but he is a decision to be made, right? Like trade or not, basically. And we'll probably do that pod. I don't know, next week at some point before the offseason starts. But I think he needs to figure out, am I a 5 or am I a 4? Because I think trying to be a 4.5 continues to leave Bobby in no man's land to a certain extent, especially with the Bucks. And I think he can be either, and it can work with the Bucks. But
we've seen it work with the Bucks
a little bit. But I think I think a lane needs to be picked at some point. Are you going to be able to do center stuff on defense, or are you going to focus on defending the perimeter better? That's basically the choice. So I think this will be fascinating to see Bobby there. Are they going to play him at center? Is that what he's going to lead into? Or will he be doing switching? Or if he is center, will he be switching 1 through 5? Will they be switching 1 through 5? Because I do think right now he just can't do either well enough. And that has to be the focus for him. So I can't wait to see how he plays, how they use him. The fact that he's one of the first commitments does make it seem like, he may have a big role here, or maybe it's just easier to get these guys to commit. Who knows? But if they are going with a youth movement and they're having trouble finding bigs, maybe Bobby ends up being a pretty pronounced role on Team USA.
Yeah, it'll be good to see. To be clear, I think he can be really, really good for Team USA. I just think it's just going to be as more of a forward than as center.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, it'll be important to see how malleable he can be, in terms of Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra. Who are the other assistants? I know it really matters, Kerr and Spoelstra. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Seeing how he plays under guys like that and just has to adjust his game to a new style, because he's really only played 2 styles here in Milwaukee, just to see how he's used offensively, defensively. It'll be big, because he's gonna have to, everyone else on the roster for the Bucks, they're gonna have to undergo some change, a lot of change, because they have a new head coach.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to that and thrives or doesn't thrive.
And I think
in that system,
it'll be huge to watch the defense. I think offensively, there's going to be a lot of matchups where he totally eats in the international game. I think skilled players like that who can score from the mid-range, especially there are some smaller teams. I think Bobby is going to have some pretty big offensive games for Team USA. So it'll be fun to watch. Always fun to watch Bucks in international competition. Already excited to watch Giannis in FIBA World Cup. We'll see if any other Bucks are on Team USA.
Giannis and Greece and Team USA are in the same group.
Yeah, so we will get to see Bobby versus Giannis.
At least once.
Good luck, Bobby. Good luck,
Because
Bobby.
we know Giannis likes to go at his guys.
Yes, he does. And just likes to score in general. And I don't. So far, Team USA does not have a very good Giannis impediment there on their roster.
Yeah, and to be clear, also, we have no indication that Giannis has committed to play for Greece this summer.
I thought we had a good idea. This was a while ago. I don't know if it's official, but I thought it would look like he was leaning that way. But this was like before playoffs, maybe.
Let's see what the first results are.
He's over hanging out with. Was it Fenerbahce or one of the EuroLeague teams right now? They posted last week.
No.
He was getting up some threes.
Grant Hill thinks that Giannis Antetokounmpo will suit up for Greece.
I think everyone should always assume Giannis will suit up for Greece.
But yeah, you should be scared.
He was hanging out with Thanasis' team, and they were talking, and Giannis was shooting over in I don't remember what team that is now. I don't think it's Fenerbahce. It's not. I don't remember.
Nikolaithis?
Yeah.
Let's see. Who does he play for?
It's also he was also talking to Atudis, who's the Greek head coach.
He does play for Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce, yeah. So I think Atudis coaches that team. So he's basically like visiting Fenerbahce is like visiting the Greek point guard and head coach, and I think they have a couple other players on that team as well. So
all I'm saying is Giannis, go to some Spanish league basketball game because I might be attending.
That'd be sick if maybe you can run into Giannis in another bathroom. Rohan got barred from a Wisconsin herd bathroom because he was trying to get in and see Giannis in there accidentally.
I was not trying to see Giannis, and I was trying to use the bathroom, and then it was like, "Oh, Giannis is in there. You can't go in." I'm like, "What?
What?
What do you mean I can't go in the bathroom?" Well, they didn't tell me that Giannis was in there. They're just like, "No, you can't go in there right now." I was like, "What are you talking about? I can't go in there."
Yeah, they just wall off a whole bathroom for the guy.
And it's like, just 5 seconds later, Giannis walks out, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
They must have built that place never anticipating like a VIP in the building, and then Giannis just shows up and is in the stands all the time. They're like, "Come on, dude! Like, what?"
Yeah,
we weren't absolutely prepared for this.
No, I mean, how can you be?
Yeah.
Okay, should we get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast?
Yeah, let's do it. I think luckily we can get through some of these a little quickly because we went deep on coaching and on Bobby, which, you know what, probably should have expected. We said, we'll do the news up top. We'll be quick. Too much to talk about. Exciting news. Always exciting news. 12-month NBA season at this point. So we've split these players up into 3 categories, which actually relates to how much the Bucks can spend to bring them back. So we'll go over that information as well with this, just so everyone knows, because I think, there's all these different ideas about cap space and what they should and could pay, etc. And to be clear, one more caveat before we dive into the players. If you say no to all of them, the Bucks still won't have real cap space. They'll have like half a max, if that, at most. And that's, again, if you say no to all of these players, that's where you're at. So not really an option here. So that should be considered as well. Player number 1, let's just get right into it. Khris Middleton. This is the beginning of the full birds rights section, which means the Bucks can pay these players up to their max for up to 5 years because they have played for the same team continuously for 3 or more seasons. Doesn't matter about the new CBA, the old CBA, the cap, the tax. They all allow this. It will be expensive, but the Bucks can basically pay these 4 players, Khris being the first one, whatever they want. Also, Khris has a player option. He could be extended if he opts in. He can opt out and sign a big contract. That part, of course, is up to Khris, but assuming he opts out, Rohan, should the Bucks keep Khris Middleton or let him walk? It's a game show now.
They should keep him. Absolutely, yes. They should keep him. Like, it's you can't lose your second best player in the playoffs. It wasn't the case for the regular season. Drew was the second best player for the regular season. It was not close in the postseason. It was actually kind of close. But Drew Holiday, between like him and Brook.
Oh. I thought you meant him and Drew. I was like, it was not.
No, it was him and Brook.
Yeah.
Khris Middleton, he's been time and time again. He's been a playoff performer. He's going to get his jersey retired by this franchise. One of the greatest players to ever play for this franchise. You absolutely keep him. You would, again, like you mentioned earlier, if you do not keep all of these guys, you still don't have like max contract space. you can't do anything. You have to keep the talent, and Khris Middleton is talent.
Yeah.
He is an incredible player. We just saw it. We've seen it for years now. You have to keep guys like that. No brainer, you keep Khris Middleton. No brainer.
Agree with everything you said. Also, it seems like they're going to. I mean, he was in on the Adrian Griffin conversation, which is not always something you do with a player who could hit free agency and walk. I think Khris wants to stay. I think Giannis wants Khris to stay. I think Khris will be back. I would hope not the full max. And I mean, it doesn't. Who knows if it really will matter or not? Again, the Bucks' flexibility is low. We'll see how much it is, how long it is. I think that's probably going to be the push and pull on the contract. Is I'm sure Khris obviously wants full max. The Bucks obviously want to retain him for probably less than that and have a little bit more flexibility, a little less tax hit. And I think what it'll probably end up coming down to is a higher dollar amount for less years or a slightly lower one for more years for Khris. I would guess we end up in the second category, personally. I think it's going to be not his max, but like a 4 or maybe even 5-year deal. So Khris gets all the total money, but it's dispersed more evenly so that the Bucks are able to keep him for the rest of Giannis's prime without needing to, pay it all up front and take some insane tax hits in the next couple of years here. So that will be the interesting thing. This could even be a declining contract. I mean, that's allowed under the CBA up to like 8% per season if they want to structure it that way too. So it could be flat decline. Who knows what they'll do? But we both agree on that. I think we will agree on this next player as well. Brook Lopez, also full bird rights, is just a free agent. Apparently Bill Simmons said he thought he was going to leave Milwaukee. Don't listen to Bill Simmons.
He also said Kevin Young was going to be the head coach of the Suns.
He did. He also thought the Celtics were good. They were good, but Brook, they should absolutely bring back as well. Again, I think it's going to be the same push-pull. Like the Bucks don't have any impending free agents who are like, clear, just give them the max and don't think about it, guys. I mean, Giannis, I think, could sign an extension later this summer. He is obviously that. But in terms of these actual free agents, I don't think it should be that. But, give Brook like 2 more years at a reasonable number. Hopefully the Al Horford contract being very realistic kind of set an avenue there for that to happen. But I certainly think the Bucks should bring back Brook, even if you want them to play less drop. I think you just, like Rohan, you said it so well, you can't just give up on talent for nothing. And Brook is talent. Brook was the other guy besides Khris who really showed up in the playoffs. Even if defensively he didn't have the same impact, offensively he was there. And
always has been.
Yeah, always has been. Always has been a 16-game player for the Bucks. Struggles in some matchups, but when he's out there, he's going to give it his all. And still looks like he has some in the tank.
He also just came second in Defensive Player of the Year voting.
Yeah. So if you want to play him a little less and like switch more or do something else more, that's fine. No way you should just let Brook walk. He's too good. I wouldn't even want to sign and trade him. Personally, I just think he's too good and he should be a Buck.
However, I will say, I'm very much team bring Brook back. Try saying that 5 times fast. It'll be interesting to see what Adrian Griffin thinks of Brook.
Yeah.
Because he was and what Brook thinks of Adrian Griffin.
Yeah.
Because Brook came when Bud came. And Brook's just been a Bud guy. That's all. Like it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure it'll be like a good relationship, and he has a good relationship with all the guys like on the team. Seemingly, obviously, we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
It'll just be interesting to see how Adrian Griffin values a guy like Brook Lopez compared to Bud.
You would hope highly.
You would hope highly, considering Brook is very, very good at basketball.
Yeah. I want to see Brook back for like a 2-year deal.
I want to see Brook retire with the Bucks.
I also would like to see that too. So you're with me on keep Brook.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
This is a big one for you. I'll just let you cook. Thanasis. Full bird rights. They could give Thanasis a full max. Could you imagine? Would that be the funniest? Just Thanasis, 5 years, $300 million. It's like $290 million, I think, is the full max. I don't know if he has enough years of service. I
don't think he does.
Get Thanasis get full max? That's the new question. I think he needs like 7 years. No, he only has 5 years. Sorry, Thanasis. You can only get 5 years, like $250 million.
I'd do it.
Oh my God, Rohan.
What? Would you not?
Of course I would not. I would petition the league to give him the $290 million.
Yeah, there you go. But it's like, imagine Giannis says Thanasis gets full max or I'm out. You give Thanasis the full max.
How much? It depends. Like,
it doesn't depend on anything.
Can Giannis help cover some of the tax money at that point? Because I don't want to lose like the other players. I'll just say other and not a different word like good over this.
No, it's a simple question. Would you or not?
I would give him full max assistant coach money. How about that?
So you would let Giannis leave?
No. Rohan, move on. Talk about Thanasis.
No, obviously you bring Thanasis back.
Yeah.
If he wants to come back. Yeah, if he wants to come back for a minimum contract, like, yeah, then you do it. Like
culture setter.
Yeah, culture setter. The guys seem to love him. Everyone seems to love Thanasis. How can you not? We love Thanasis here.
Yeah.
Great clips.
Yeah. Good interviews. He's was on the last pod. He's like really diving deep for these guests.
Apparently his house got robbed or something.
Denny Obvious?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't see that clip. I'll have to listen to the episode. No free ads.
But, yeah, I mean, you bring Thanasis back. Come on, you bring Thanasis.
Yeah.
If he wants to come back, he's coming back.
And to be clear, we're not, maybe Rohan is, we're not talking full max. I mean, Thanasis pretty much just like keeps taking vet men. Although now, like, they can, if they want to give him a little more, they can. I don't know. I don't know how that negotiating works, but I do. I've always wanted, like, will Thanasis want to go play somewhere at some point? Like, you know,
I've been on team
player.
And I've been on team actually play Thanasis.
I know you have. Well,
we'll see what Adrian Griffin thinks.
Yeah, I mean, Thanasis.
Hey, if Adrian Griffin likes his like intense defenders, Thanasis is right up there. And I'm like, people are gonna think I'm joking. I'm not joking.
He's more athletic than a lot of guys the Bucks played last year.
He's like the third most athletic guy on the roster.
Although he is 31 now. So I do.
He still got bounced.
He still does for now. Yeah. We're probably nearing the end of the actual play Thanasis argument window, though.
Yeah.
It's got to happen soon.
Man, he's 31 already? Time's flying.
Well, he turns 31 this month, I think.
Oh, well, happy early birthday.
Thanasis. Yeah, I know. The time does fly, though. I was like, what's
time
Thanasis?
Flies, man.
29? I didn't remember how old he was compared to Giannis, but yeah.
Yeah.
The last
Giannis
one.
is going to be 30 next year.
I know. Contentious debate time, I think, between us here.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, God. What are you? Okay.
Jae Crowder, full bird rights.
No.
I think yes.
I think no. Absolutely not.
Absolutely yes.
Why? Tell me why.
So, I don't think the Bucks get their TPMLE this year because of the new CBA. And it's just going to be very hard to add quality wing players. And this is, if you're watching the finals right now, I have not watched it very much. Denver is a team that just like kept doing that. They just kept adding and keeping their wings. And right now, their team is ridiculous because they have their superstar big man, sound familiar, and they have their other star in Jamal Murray. And then it's really just a bunch of wings that they can play between those two.
You said one thing, one word.
I know.
That's quality time.
Until the 5 playoff games, and they only played, 3 of them? Crowder was really good as a Buck. Something didn't click, something didn't work. It was like 3 games. During the regular season, looked like the perfect fit. And he's an older player, and I do want the Bucks to get younger, but they have the means to keep him. He didn't rule it out. I do think, making the coaching change makes it easier to mend that fence and bring him back. And I agree, he was bad in the playoffs. A lot of guys on the Bucks were bad in the playoffs. And I just think, that should not necessarily preclude the Bucks from keeping him. This was someone who averaged 7 points and 4 boards in the regular season, shot 54% from 2, 43% from 3. Like, he was good. And then he was bad in a really small sample in a kind of bad matchup. And he didn't, not like he got a huge chance. Again, I'm not saying he should have, but he played like 41 total minutes or 42 total minutes and was just bad in very limited sample, 10 minutes a game. So I'm not closing that door. I would like the Bucks to actually bring him back for a year or two and just see what they've got there. I still want them to get some younger wings, but this is like, or a sign and trade, I guess, is fine. But I would not. I'm actually for bringing him back and giving him another chance. You can trade him later if it doesn't work, DJ Augustine style. but I just think Crowder still has something to give, and just because he didn't in that playoff stint does not mean he never could. And he was still new to the team. He had some injury stuff, the long layoff, everything else. I'm not ruling it out. I am in favor of giving the guy another chance.
I mean, yeah, I'm all about giving guys second chances, but it's clear, like, based on his comments, like, it doesn't seem like he
said he was open to coming back.
He did. I mean, you have to say that.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's Jae Crowder. Like, your options are going to be limited.
I think in the past, Jae Crowder has been pretty demonstrative about where he wants to go and not. I mean, this is not someone who's known for his decorum and measured comments all the time. He tweets in all caps.
Do you remember when I said he should tweet in lowercase?
I do remember that. I think he needs to earn it, the privilege back, but I think he can.
He does. He needs to maybe not all lowercase, but like
this
just
proper sentence case. Could everyone just use proper sentence case? Just a request from me. Thanks. Anyway, I'm one of those internet boomers. Go on.
It's just maybe those 3 games and painted me the wrong way.
It was four games. 4 games. Yeah.
4 games painted me the wrong way. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was bad.
It was really bad. Like nothing, literally no facet of the game of basketball worked for Jae Crowder. Yeah. And he was confused as to like, hey man, I don't know why I'm not playing. I don't know my purpose here. Like, yeah, you were ass. Like, sorry, but like, come on.
I almost think it's. I look at it differently as a guy like Mirotic because he didn't get enough opportunity to definitively play better or worse. Like, he was ineffective. I don't think he killed them, though. He did. He didn't kill them. That one missed shot did kill them. And the one, like, part of a run in Game 3, I think, or Game 4, when he missed, I don't know if it was a layup or what. That did kind of kill them in the moment. But, like, over the course of the series, he literally didn't get the opportunity to kill him. I kind of feel similarly about Jevon, who we'll get to in our next section here, who played similar minutes and has very similar shooting numbers as well. But it's like, Bud was actually pretty quick on not giving guys chances. And the rotation was almost too big. I mean, if you factor in Wes, although he only played 2 games, they had 11 guys who played 10 or more minutes. And I do think there was just some rhythm issues for both Jevon and Crowder. And those are guys who like to shoot, and they weren't able to really ever get in a rhythm. And again, I'm not saying they should have. I'm not saying you can just play these guys through this and play other guys less. But I do almost think that because of the way the rotation was, I think it was easy for them to, if they started cold, they never had an opportunity to get hot. And I think if Crowder had put up similar, even a little better numbers and played 25 minutes a game, I would be with you. I'd be like, no, he didn't have it in the playoffs. It's over. I don't think that was the fairest shake, and I would like to bring him back and just see. And then if it's not working by the trade deadline, then you have another salary you can move anyway.
That's fair. I guess you should. It would depend on the number for me.
Yeah.
Well, what's the number you want to give him?
10.
10?
It's another building block. I mean, if you give him 10, then between him, Bobby, if he's still around, Grayson, you're over 30 with those 3.
What about like 8?
I mean, that works too, for sure.
Yeah, I think 8's fine.
Yeah, a 10 at most.
Yeah, I think 10's the max.
Yeah. But again, it's not handicapping their spending. It's just more expensive.
That's fair.
I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you can't give Jae Crowder $11 million. It's like, yeah, it's not going to matter on what they can do later or not. I mean, it's their own budget, which we can never know. But yeah, I'm not saying go give him like 3 for 45. He was very bad. But if they could get him like 2 for 15 or something, I think that could really work out for the Bucks long term.
That's fair. I think you convinced me.
Good. Next section, early bird rights. So this is weird. How it works. It's if you played basically 2 straight years for a team, and you can get 175% up to 175% of your last year's contract as a max figure in year 1, or the NBA average salary. So if you all remember last season, this is how Bobby Portis got the 4-year, $48 million deal, because the NBA average salary was like $10 million. So he was able to use that as the starting point. So there are 2 players who qualify. One of them, I don't think we need to worry about this one too much. One of them is very interesting. We'll start off with the first one. Wes Matthews is an early bird rights player. Certainly don't expect Wes to get a $48 million or $50 million contract at this point. I do think maybe they could give him a little bump if they want him back. But where do you fall on Wes after the playoffs? And I think this is where it gets difficult because I think we all agree, everyone who watches the Bucks agrees, it would be great if they could get younger and more athletic. It's determining how to do that and which players you let go that make that a harder convo. So I think Wes is an obvious candidate to say, oh, we need to get younger there. Also, he was one of their better playoff performers and kind of always has been, but he's like 35. So what do you think about Wes, Rohan?
It's tough because he was one of their better playoff performers, but he only played, 2 games?
41 minutes over 2 games. He is also turning 37.
2 games because he was hurt. He's a guy where it's like if you re-sign him, it's like, yeah, don't expect him to really play in the regular season.
He would be their Andre Iguodala.
Yeah. And even Andre didn't play in the postseason.
Yeah, this year. In past years, he obviously did a lot more. Now, I'm not even talking about like when they said he should win 6th man. Like toward the end of the KD years, he was really not doing much in the regular season and then helpful in the playoffs, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would have to be that sort of role. Because he is good. Like he's very good as a playoff performer, as a scrappy defender, as a guy who he knows where to be, he knows where to be in the right spot. Again, another guy who's really thrived under Bud, so we'll see how Adrian Griffin sort of responds with Wes, how those two resonate.
Although, he also left after Bud didn't play him in the bubble.
That's also
so they got over something. There was something there that was less amenable for a while, but they obviously worked it out.
We pretend that Wes didn't leave.
I think Wes just loves the Bucks.
I think he does too.
He was just blowing up their phones to sign him middle of the season before last, and they finally did.
And it worked out well.
Yeah.
He's had success here. The team's performed well with him. I don't know. I'm always going to be pro bring Wes back. It would just obviously on a min.
Yeah. Again, it's like they want to give him $3 million. Again, it doesn't really matter to them. And they can without using any other exception because they have his early bird rights. But yeah, basically not very much. His vet min is like $2.9 million at this point anyway. So
yeah. It's interesting. If there's a guy who is at the end of the roster, you can't ask for a better guy than Wes, especially a guy who's going to continue to develop a lot, help with Marjan's development.
Yep.
Wes is a guy you want to keep around for basically your only young prospects to learn from and develop. So especially in that regard, yeah, I'd want to bring Wes back.
I do as well. I think that because of what you laid out, it's basically you get a free potential playoff performer. And by free, I mean not just from roster building, that cost perspective, but you don't even really need to give him a big rotational spot in the regular season. They can kind of save him and let these younger guys play and see what they have and just dust off Wes every so often, but not overexert him at all. And I think, if he's okay with that, which is, that's how it worked last year, and then maybe he gets a chance in the playoffs to show if he's still got it or not, I would totally want to bring him back. I think he is the right kind of vet that you want around. They shouldn't rely on him. I don't think they are relying on him, but he's just been that guy in the playoffs for them. I think he can have a couple of big moments. I would like Wes Matthews back. So through the first 4 guys, we pretty much want all 4 back. Khris, Brook, Thanasis, Wes.
Yes.
5 guys. Jae Crowder and Wes. I convinced you on Jae. You're not totally sold on Jae. Jevon Carter, the other early bird rights player. A fascinating one. He has a
player option, doesn't he?
He does have a player option as well. We're going to assume he is opting out because it's $3 million, $3.5 million.
Yeah, 3, something like that.
So I certainly think regardless of what we decide here, Jevon should be making a lot more than that. During the regular season, and again, this is another regular season versus playoffs combo, Jevon shot 42% from 3, 8 points, 2.5 assists, 2.5 rebounds, one of the best perimeter defenders on the team. Obviously, it's mostly about on point guards or smaller guards, but he refined the pull-up 3. He was one of the best pull-up 3 shooters in the league, even though those shots drove people crazy in the playoffs, everything else. but, kind of a limited player in terms of size. What do you think the Bucks should do with Jevon Carter, Rohan?
This one's interesting. We love Jevon. We love Jevon.
Well, let's see how much we love Jevon.
I'd say bring him back depending on what Hugo Bassan does.
What?
Yeah.
You're a Hugo Bassan guy?
I think you have to give him a shot.
Not at the cost of Jevon Carter. That's not entering my
calculus. That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, you can bring over Hugo if you want to. I don't think he had a great season with Mets on Wemby's team. Are you just trying to get Wemby? Is that your angle here? What are you doing?
I'm trying to get younger.
Is he even that young? Oh, he's not 22. He's 22.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the, he could be 24 and he'll still be one of the youngest guys on the team.
That's true. He averaged 12 points for Mets, shot 35% from 3, 63% from 2, though. Kind of a chucker of a player. But, yeah, I would just bring Jevon back if you can.
I'll be pro Jevon.
Because he's also, to your point, one of the younger players on the roster at 27, 28 years old. I think he's going to be 28 for this next season, but he's a Giannis timeline guy. Yeah, he turns 28 in September. Still has his whole, basically entering his mid-prime right now, right? So I think he continues to get better. I would like to keep him around, and I think, maybe he should even have more of a role. I don't know. I mean, he struggled in the playoffs. He didn't shoot well, but again, was a guy who just really didn't have a real rotational role, right? He was like a 10, 11-minute guy and just played in fits and spurts and didn't get to play all that much. Maybe he doesn't earn that. We'll see. But I think you want to bring him back and just have him around, especially because, I mean, I don't know what else you do at the guard spots if you don't at this point, to be honest. I mean, you can bring over Hugo and try to play him. I think Marjan should play more next year no matter what, but I don't really view him as a true guard. I see him as more of a wing.
No.
I don't know who your backup point guard is if Jevon isn't back. I mean, again, as I mentioned, you won't have real contracts. You'd have to do trades.
Wait, what's George Hill doing?
He still plays for the Pacers, doesn't he?
I know, but
is he there or is he a free agent?
I think I could be wrong. But he's a Bud guy.
Yeah. I mean, George Hill, would have been helpful, but you're not getting younger with George Hill, so let's put George Hill aside for a moment.
I just always assume that George Hill is coming. He's an unrestricted free agent.
Okay. But they liked him there as a culture setter. They might bring him back, I think. We'll see. Regardless, Rick Carlisle also loves 3 and 4 guard lineups, so it's sick. But I think your point guard depth is Drew and Jevon at this point. I know some people want to ship Drew anywhere he can go. Regardless, even if you do that and bring back a different point guard, you still only have one on the roster. So I think Jevon should get the ball in his hands a little more, see if he can play that role more as one of the younger players on this list, maybe like the youngest player on this list. I certainly think the Bucks should bring him back. He is the youngest player on this list. Wow.
Aside from two ways, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to the 2 ways as well. Good call.
Yeah. I'll again love Jevon. I'll happy to see him back.
Would you give him 4 years, $50 million? That seems steep, right?
4 years, $50 million?
That would be like his max.
No, sorry, Jevon, but no.
3 for 18.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think that's decent value all around.
Sorry, just
no.
Come on.
Jevon's mom is not going to like this episode.
I know. That's why I'm trying to be nice. I'm sorry.
Hey, we want everyone to get paid.
We do. Yes.
We don't want Jevon to get paid. It's that this is a zero-sum game. There's only so much spending the Bucks can do. Allocate resources. Yada yada yada.
Yes. I want Jevon to get paid. I absolutely do. He's a guy who's just been making mins his entire NBA career, which is a lot of money. Like, let's not get rid of that's a lot of money. But I want to see him get paid because he deserves it.
Yeah.
100%. Also, I'm looking at George Hill's spot track.
Talk about someone who's gotten paid.
I'm looking at his page. Do you know, as part of that trade that sent him to Indiana, do you know who Indiana traded to Brooklyn?
Is it draft rights or a real player?
It's draft rights.
No.
Juan Voile.
How would I ever know that, Rohan?
I just never saw that name associated with the trade ever.
Well,
I was like,
it's literally it's a CBA mechanical thing. All the teams have to touch each other or whatever. So
he was drafted with 39th overall pick in 2015.
That's actually pretty recent. Some of these draft rights they use them for years and years and years. But anyway, yeah, that's the early bird guys. Also, I think Wes, if he does want to coach over the next year or two, if he wants to transition to be a Bucks assistant coach, totally down with that as well. And I think he would fit it on this staff. It seems like pretty well.
I wonder. Again, all of the assistants are sort of in limbo. I wonder what Damari Carroll's doing.
Yeah, that you're talking about a Bud guy. That is the most unquestionable Bud guy.
Yes, so he is when Bud gets his next job, because he undoubtedly will, if he wants to. He will get a next job.
I think he wants
Damari's going to be an assistant right away.
Yeah, maybe a lead assistant at that point. I also wonder what Vin Baker does, and I think if both of those guys go, I would imagine we'll see another more recently retired player on the bench.
Who was the only guy that's said big? Is Chad Forcier, right?
I think so.
Announced.
And the athletic pieces had a couple players have. Maybe some were on less public pages. Who knows?
I don't know.
Anyway, non-bird rights. So these are the least spending. I think we finally get to start saying no at this point.
Yeah. Some easy no's in here.
Yeah, Goran Dragic.
Bye.
They can basically, what non-bird means is they can pay 120% of what they made last season. So basically, it's like a run it back contract.
Yeah. Bye, Goran.
Yeah, didn't.
He's already plays for the Heat.
Yeah, he's already pretty much said that that's where he wants to finish his career, which is fine.
He's at all their playoff games.
Yeah, cool. I'm not even. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't have that much left. Meyers Leonard.
Bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that he tried, that he really wanted to be the Bucks' backup center. It's not good enough for basketball.
He tried.
He bought in. He was locked in. I appreciate him for that. Wasn't really good enough.
Yeah, and to be fair, just buy.
Yeah. I think you just. Sorry, this is going to be offensive again. You're kind of just wasting time if you bring these two guys back. It's not worth it. We know. We just know. We know enough. Joe Ingles. So this one's really interesting. So they can give Joe Ingles a competitive contract. That's why the 1 year, $6.5 million deal was interesting, because it gave them flexibility with this. They could pay him up to $7 million. Don't think they will or should. But they can. They have it in their arsenal to retain him. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no.
He played well.
Yeah, he did. He wasn't bad. No.
I guess that would be the other backup point guard. But he
kind of got exposed in terms of you can't have him be in his true role against an intense physical defense.
I think I think a team could. I think it's just not the Bucks. Yeah, because they have too much other. They're already old and unathletic around him, and to be honest, I don't think he can coexist with Khris Middleton.
No.
I don't think they can be in the same rotation. And I think you look at everyone else we kept, and there's not really anyone else on here who's you look at it and go, oh, that's a wing player who's going to get exposed. Besides, Khris was. And I'm hoping they can change his role a little bit, and he'll be in a little better condition next playoffs. We'll see. You never know. But everyone else, it's they're guys.
He has a full offseason to recover from.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. Brooks obviously a big man, but everyone else is an athletic wing or athletic guard. Wes, who just always holds up. I don't think you can bring back Ingles. So he played well. I don't think he could have played that much better, to be honest. I think he exceeded our expectations. Don't think he's a fit. I think you need to give Jevon more playmaking and find younger playmakers. Maybe that's Marjan, who knows, but I don't think Ingles should be back. He can go to another team and play a role for them.
Again, it's seemingly another Bud system guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good playmaker. He's a good shooter. Really showed he has some in the tank. I don't think you want the ball in a role player's hands that much.
Yeah, you can only reply on push dribbles so much because you can't get around.
Yeah.
Did you notice that's just Joe Ingles' signature move as he's snaking a pick and roll is just throwing the ball in front of him and hoping he catches himself.
Yeah.
It's he got his pocket picked a few times doing that in the playoffs, and it's It's like when that's not working for Joe, it's not working.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea to bring him in. It was a very thin.
Yeah, it worked. It worked decently well.
But
I mean,
I think we just saw
Lonnie Walker. He had a good postseason.
He did. That's true.
That was the guy I wanted.
I know, but
poor Otto Porter just keeps getting hurt.
I can't wait until we dig into the vet min pool and start to rank those guys closer to July. That's gonna be a sloppy pod because that's gonna be the free agent pod outside of this one. Is who can they bring in for vet min? Oh, they don't need Bismack anymore. I'm good on Bismack now. I'll take the win, but
not turning on the Twitter alerts.
I can't wait to just pull up Spotrac and just go through all the guys I think could make vet min. We can make 20 person ranked lists. Maybe we'll pick 20 and we'll each rank them. Sickos pod. We're just going through
Russell Westbrook.
We're just going through Haywood Highsmith though. Ooh. That's what it's going to be.
Fred VanVleet. Ooh.
Not a vet minimum guy, Rohan.
I mean, who knows? Maybe he wants to...
Just sign with Clutch Sports. Not a vet minimum guy, Rohan. That is not how that works. Unless you're Nerlens Noel.
Oh, God, yeah.
But yeah, so we both know on Ingles.
Dylan Brooks. Oh, no.
Vet min, I mean...
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. We both know on Ingles, so that completes it. So
a good team was like, yeah, you're not coming back, my guy.
Yeah, but they're going to bring back Mr. Gunn.
Yeah, who's going to be suspended for a long time.
We're getting serious about getting our team straightened out. It's Dylan Brooks' fault. Ja posts his 15th IG Live with a gun. That's fine.
To be fair.
They banned him from team workouts. It's Cancun season.
What? Okay, to be fair, again, what are the Grizzlies supposed to do?
Here's what they're supposed to do. Not throw Dylan Brooks under the bus. They are blaming Dylan Brooks for team problems. And out of their control problems. They were injured. They didn't have the big depth to deal with the Lakers. But they clearly were like, that never happens. A team never, right after a playoff series, goes, he's gone. There's no
I don't think we've ever seen that ever, just in general.
No. And I think, I think Dylan Brooks is a clown. I think he's good enough that you would consider him on vet min. And if you just have to send him away, so be it. But, listen, do I think Dylan Brooks is why they lost to the Lakers? No, I don't. I think they weren't as good as the Lakers. They were beat up, and their team was obviously in a really weird place. But I think to act like Dylan Brooks is their off-court issue is pretty hilariously misguided for the Grizzlies.
That's fair. That's valid. Harrison Barnes?
Dude, hell yeah, but I don't think that's happening. He's too good.
Yeah. Karis LeVert?
Let's stop. We'll do this. We'll do this part again. No,
I'm teasing.
Is he even a free agent?
No. Who? Karis LeVert?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he is.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't think he was.
I'm looking on Spotrac right now.
You're sorted way too high. You got to scroll down 5 scrolls.
Oh, fine. Udonis Haslem.
No.
That was the first name that I scrolled to.
No.
Robin Lopez.
No. It's only been an hour. I'll pull up Spotrac free agents. Let's do a preview.
Udoka Azubuike?
No, he's not good. He's a center.
I know.
Oh.
Thomas Bryant.
Some people are interested in Kevin Knox. Did you know that?
No.
I think he's bad at basketball. I think
he's really bad at basketball.
Josh
Okogie.
Darius Baisley.
I said Darius Baisley.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I was reading. Yeah, I would take the flyer on Baisley. Okogie for sure.
I think the Suns want him, and he's not going to make vet min.
Yeah. Aaron Holiday. I kind of wonder if Drew doesn't like him because they've had chances to add holidays and they never have.
I wonder which one's the anti-vax guy? Is that Justin?
I'm not gonna guess. I think
it's
know.
Justin.
That's not great. Frank Ntilikina.
Nah.
I would take that flyer.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
Drew Eubanks at center. Michael Carter Williams.
It's Justin.
Keita Bates-Diop. I would like that. If they could get Keita Bates-Diop for vet min, this is the kind of signing that excites me. A young wing. He's 27.
That's fair. Svi Mihailuk.
I think Svi is bad.
Yeah.
I like Javonte Green a lot. I don't know if he would make that little.
No, I don't think so.
I think he could play, though. I would definitely.
Jalen Noel, I'd be down. He's too small, though.
Yeah. I think he's just worse Javon, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Tristan Thompson?
That's going to be a no from me.
Wenyen?
I would take Wenyen back.
Yeah. Back. Like, he hasn't played for the Bucks, but in the Bucks org.
Yeah. Bucks org. Wenyen Gabriel, we're talking about, to be clear.
Boban?
I just got to Boban, too. No, I don't think so. Mamu.
Oh, no. San Antonio's going to keep him.
Yeah. Listen, I will say this. If Bobby's traded, Mamu's an interesting flyer, if he was available.
Oh, 100%.
Mamu could play, just can't really play over Giannis or Bobby right now.
No.
Willie Cauley-Stein. He's still not 30.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
No defensive upside guy. Never really got a true chance. Oh, we didn't do the two ways. AJ Green and Lindell Wigginton.
I have AJ for sure.
Yeah. Lindell.
AJ.
I'll
take him on a two-way again if he's eligible.
The shooting started to heat up a little bit for Lindell, which is really his big thing. I would certainly take him on a two-way. I would take AJ rostered.
Yeah.
I think AJ deserves a roster spot.
However, since there's an expansion of two ways, I wouldn't be surprised to see him on another two-way.
I wouldn't either. I do feel like it would make sense if they split the two ways. Like one or two of them is very developmental. One or two of them is like an emergency player. And that's where Lindell on one makes a lot of sense, especially if they do come in with Drew and Jevon as the only two like point guards on the real roster. Having Lindell right there and able to step up in case of injury would be a good idea.
Diakite?
Bring Diakite. Was he 30 now?
26.
Oh, he's not as old as I thought.
No. Oh man, Portland's not going to give him up, but Ibu Baji.
He's just so raw, and he missed most of the season to injury.
Yeah,
they're bought in on him.
What?
They're really bought in on him.
Exactly, because it's like you don't find guys like that very often.
You don't. You know who I like?
Who?
Jeff Downton, currently in the Raptors org. He was a two-way for them. They never really let him play. He was in the Bucks for like 10 days. He was in the Magic for a while. Like a point guard who can really he does stuff. Yeah. I like Jeff Downton Jr. on a two-way or a min deal.
Isaiah Mobley.
Brobley. He's a G League stats guy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're at the end of the list.
Yeah. Buddy
Theo Maledon.
Teo's interesting enough. Dwayne Washington Jr. I like.
Ooh.
Shooter.
Terry Taylor.
Oh, yeah. I feel like everyone loves that guy.
I feel like he hit a lot of threes against the Bucks once.
Jay Huff.
How many Champagnes are there?
2, I think.
Oh. Because I was like, who's Julian Champagne?
We can get Diakite and Diabate.
Oh, yes.
Jay Huff absolutely lit up the Bucks from 3. Lakers legend. Ended the season with the Wizards.
I thought that was a nickname. I was like, who's
Jay Huff is a guy. He's a 25-year-old center. Who's that? Do you remember the Marquette big guy? He looked really good in the G League. He played for the Warriors this last year.
Pat Baldwin?
No.
Not Pat Baldwin. No, he's not in Milwaukee.
No, yeah. JC something. Johnson. Jace Johnson, not Jason.
Jace Johnson, yeah.
Jace Johnson. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a young big Jay Huff, Jace Johnson, like someone like that. Just bring them into the system. That'd be a fun two-way. I would like a two-way big because I feel like they tried the developmental big with Baji. He just got snatched up so fast. I think you need to get that guy on a two-way. And Mamu, yeah. Although he was a two-way, and they kind of just let him have an opportunity, which is the right thing to do because he just wasn't going to get one with the Bucks. But yeah, I think for the two ways, I'd love to see Lindell brought back if possible, if he's open to that.
AJ 100%.
AJ, I think, should be on the roster, and then a developmental big, and then maybe like a wing prospect on the other two ways.
Yeah, like actually, and this is an example. Like AJ Green's an example of like. There's, by the way, also the Bucks' second round pick is either going to be stashed or a two-way this season.
Yeah, for sure. It's pick 58, unless they move up or they get in again, which would be fascinating.
I don't know how they do it, but
and then future seconds. I mean, you can.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can get in. I mean, 58 in a future second to get in like the 40s would be certainly possible, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially this is considered to be a very deep draft, like a second round heavy draft.
Yeah. It's very little consensus outside of the top 3 on this draft, I think.
Yeah. I think, and even the third guy in the top 3 is like, do you want Brandon Miller?
Yeah,
like
maybe an accessory.
Yeah, is he going to be in jail?
Are we gonna end up having to deal with this? Is it gonna be Drew to Portland and the Bucks end up with Brandon Miller? Is that what our life's gonna be like? Could you imagine?
Ty, don't do this.
I don't think I'm ready for it, to be honest with you.
I don't want to do this.
I don't think they would ever do that, by the way. Not Brandon Miller in particular. Like, take that young of a guy.
No, you can't. Unless it's Wembanyama.
I don't think they'll be able to trade Drew Holiday for Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
I think Giannis is going out if they're bringing in Victor Wembanyama. I would not do that, obviously, to be clear. But that's the only way the Spurs
maybe Pop wants to give I can't even say he wants to give his buddy Bud a favor.
Nope.
There's no Spurs connection anymore.
He's sending Wemby to the lake house.
But Bud sold his house.
He's selling it. He had a couple more lake beers out of it before he sold it.
That's fair. That's fair.
What was I going to say? Oh, an interesting thing, though, for this draft and this whole offseason, will the Bucks focus on development more? Because that Adrian Griffin, known for being developmental, the Raptors didn't do a great job of it. Obviously, the Jimmy Butler thing we've talked about. That will just be interesting because they've had their 2 ways. They haven't used many NBA roster spots outside of, Marjon, who they took with the first-round pick, on like true developmental guys. Those guys haven't had too many chances to play outside of the team being struck with COVID. That's going to be really interesting too. Like, how do they fill out the roster? There's a lot of potential spots. Do they run it back? Do they really focus on getting younger and giving guys opportunities? We don't know, but that's going to be something to watch for sure. I mean, obviously we know Horace wants to compete. Horace is still there, and he's obviously going to be the one who's really making these decisions, but does Adrian Griffin want the team to have more of these developmental guys or not? I think Horace is the decision maker, but of course he's working with that head coach to deliver the kind of roster that the head coach wants. Maybe Griffin's more open to younger players. I think that would be a pretty exciting and fun way to do it versus the Goran Dragic and Meyers Leonards, because you see teams, even like by end of season, they're picking up flyers. They're converting 2 ways to get those guys over and get their contracts on the books already. The Bucks have not done that really at all. I mean, they've done Lindell before, but mostly I think just 2 ways. I think maybe they made Rajon Tucker a contract at some point, or was he just a 2-way too?
No, he was converted to a roster spot at the end.
Obviously didn't end up coming back then after that. This year was Leonard and Dragic. Like, maybe we see more young players get those opportunities and
signing Lindell to a 2-way.
And Lindell to the 2-way that was opened up by Mamu. So we'll see. We don't know. But our answer is, not totally run it back, but certainly bring back these key players who the Bucks really don't have an avenue to replace at this moment.
Exactly. And that's the most important part is you don't have an avenue to replace a lot of these guys. So you have to bring it back and, sort of maneuver around it. If something doesn't work, you have to be able to have tradable salaries and stuff like that. That's the entire reason I'm saying Jae Crowder come back. Like, it's like, So you can be aggregated in a trade.
Well, which you probably can't under the new CBA.
No, it's easier under the new CBA.
Not if you're over the second apron.
That's true. But
I don't think you can aggregate salaries at all, actually, if you're over that mark. So that's going to be dicey.
That is going to be dicey. It'll be interesting to see, especially with Khris and Brook's contract, to see how much the Bucks are actually, if they're going to be close to the second apron. That will definitely be under consideration when they're taking care of these free agents. And I think there was some reporting, just speculation, I should say, that this is going to be a very, very, very active trade offseason.
Yeah,
because teams are preparing.
That.
Yeah.
$17.5 million over the tax is the second apron, by the way.
Which isn't a ton.
No. The Bucks would be over it right now. If they bring everyone back on like their cap holds or whatever, they're over it. I certainly think we'll see some maneuvering to get under it, which then opens up, you do have one free agent tool then. You get the 5.5 TPMLE. So it's not a ton, but that could be interesting as well to get in a more premier young player.
We shall see. Do we have anything else we have to talk about, Ty?
I think that's it. Should we next time do the trade pod? Go through the guys under contract and figure out
the trade pod.
Who, it all depends on what's out there, of course, but who would be most
Paul George, welcome to Milwaukee.
Hey, sending Oh, well, you know what? I think it's a combo. I think it's a combo.
I think it's a convo. I think it's a convo.
I actually had a Clippers person ask me about one of those trades. About that construction for a Bucks player. It wasn't Giannis. It was a real... We'll talk about it. What'd you say?
Was it Drew?
It was.
I'm curious. Okay.
A Clippers person, I mean, like... Watch
someone who covers the Clippers.
Not someone who works for the Clippers. To be clear, this is not a source. This is
Lawrence Frank was asking Ty Windisch. How do we make this? How do we make this happen?
DM'd me and said, "What Drew for Paul George? What do you think?"
He's sending up feelers.
Yeah, he's just seeing what the Bucks.
Kawhi Leonard was like, "Hey, could we get Drew Holiday?"
It was Russ.
I wouldn't be mad at Russ though.
I would.
I mean, do you see how he played for the Clippers?
This is a much different team.
That's fair.
Can never play with Giannis.
That's fair. That's very fair.
That's the thing, and people get tired of me saying this. People get so tired of me saying this. If it's a non-shooter, it's a no for me. They can't play with Giannis in the playoffs. They just can't.
If it's a non-shooting wing / guard,
I think anything.
Like even as a big, I can see a non-shooting big playing with Giannis.
We saw it in Greece. It was bad, and people are tired of me talking about Greece, but
not a 3-point shooting big. But like you have to at least like have like a mid-range game.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the asset too. I mean, if it's just like a end of bench guy, fine. It's not that important. But if you're looking at like a big target who's going to play a lot, that's when I'm like, I just don't think so.
Yeah, but I've also been able to see teams navigate it. Like I don't want to just like this entire postseason is clouding my judgment a lot, but we're seeing the Heat do really well with 2 non-shooter stars.
Yeah.
Like sorry, Bam, but like you're not a shooter. Sorry, Ty, I should say.
I know. Well, Jimmy's a shooter in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, but it's drastically reduced since the second round.
Well, yeah, he just seems hurt. I mean, I think everything about Jimmy is pretty actively reduced since the second round. Since that ankle sprain,
they still tied the finals.
I know.
By the way, it's just I cannot believe. Who do you want to win the finals? What's your prediction? What's your updated prediction?
I'll stick with Nuggets in 5.
Yeah, I'll stick with Nuggets in 6.
Jimmy's 36% from 3 this playoffs.
Oh, and it was like 50 against the Bucks, though.
Yeah. Slowed down a lot. But yeah, as you mentioned, they're still going. They're figuring it out. They also have gotten like insane shooting from everywhere else. So I think that
did you see what Eric Spoelstra responded to Ramona Shelburne's question?
No.
She had asked him about like, what do you like turning Jokic into a scorer versus a passer? And he just like put his hands in his arms. He was like, that's the type of question the untrained eye asks.
Oh my God. I think it's I actually think it's what they should do. So I'm untrained.
He's right though.
I don't think
because it's like, you don't?
I think, let me pull up the stat. I think
Ty Windisch arguing basketball against Eric Spoelstra.
Well, I mean, he can say whatever he wants. He knows more about hoop than me. I'm pretty sure the Nuggets are like 1-4 when he scores 40. Like some amount in the playoffs.
It's 40.
40. And I think there's a reason for that. Like, I do think with a player like that, I think you do have to make him a scorer. And I think it's not because Jokic isn't a great scorer. It's because it makes the other players, it's harder to step up when you're not getting the ball as much.
That's fair. I just like Spoelstra calling Shelburne a casual.
Oh yeah, that's funny. That's funny, but like a lot of people have like Zach Lowe poo-pooed that idea as well. Like, he can score 50. It's like, yeah, but it's like they're so much more dangerous when the whole team is killing you versus one.
Yeah,
and that's
it's also a higher 3-point shooting rate when Jokic is not being doubled, or when he is being doubled. Excuse me.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, you can't double Jokic.
Yeah, because it's just a wide open shot every time.
Yeah, I mean the stat is from HP Basketball. They're 1-4 when Jokic scores 39 or more in the playoffs.
39. I thought it was 40.
Yeah, so pretty close. But yeah, I do think because like I talked about, their team is so deep. Like if they're getting these wide open shots, it's just like the Raptors in 2019 when they're sending help to Kawhi and he's just hitting everyone. Like they win that series if they stay home. I'm convinced.
Yeah. That's fair. Let's not bring up old wounds.
Okay. Yeah. Binge the Bucks.
Let's. Oh god.
For more on that series, scroll back a long way to 2020.
Scroll back 3 years.
3 years now, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, and it still scars me to this day. It's crazy. I still don't want to talk about it 3 years later.
That's your sign, Rohan.
That's my side. Thank you all for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire and GSPN. Make sure you check out gspn.info for links to everything we do here at GSPN, all of our podcasts, all our links. All of that can be found at gspn.info. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to this, or whether that's on your podcast platform of choice, where you should leave a 5-star rating and review, or on YouTube, where you should just subscribe in general. And leave a like, leave a comment, engage in the comments. It's always fun.
But in a good way. Be good in the comments.
Yeah, be a sane, normal human being, please.
Yeah,
the best you can.
Been good. We've had good comments lately.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
We do appreciate it, and we do read all of them. So thank you, Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.